Do you remember when you got that diagnosis of ADHD?
I don't remember.
There are days you choose to take your medication.
The two personality things. Who do I want to choose today? ADHD makes you different. Why would that not be a good thing? Everybody else has something going on in their brain that makes them different. If everything's unnormal and everybody's different, then everything's normal. A lot of people say, oh, you're the same person. You're not.
Hi there. Welcome to Diversability, a podcast that explores neurodiversity by talking with people who work with, live with, or love someone with a neurodevelopmental condition. Our aim is to highlight the strengths and to discuss ways to support those that are living their lives outside the box. I'm Dr. Michelle Francis, pediatrician at Ocean View Pediatrics and the medical director of the Complex Youth with ADHD Nanaimo Clinic, or Cyan Clinic in Nanaimo. Today, on our inaugural episode, I've got a fantastic guest for us today. I've got Simon Francis. Simon was diagnosed with ADHD when he was around 12, if I have that right, and has been described as sometimes a force of nature, but what I see is a kid who is determined and creative and wants to make his mark on the world. Welcome, Simon.
Welcome. Thank you. Good intro. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hype me up a bit. I like that.
There you go. So, Simon, you were diagnosed with ADHD at 12.
Okay.
Which is kind of late for most people, especially since you have a brother who was diagnosed back when he was about 6 or 7.
Wow.
Yeah. What do you remember when you got that diagnosis of ADHD?
I don't remember. I don't remember like the exact day or the exact week, month, time-wise. I remember the change of, as in like not the specific change, but I remember how different, I'm going to say how different my life was after it based on before. And I was still growing, so it still was going to change a bit. But me going on meds and getting treatment and you know, helping myself with the habits that came with the ADHD after I started taking my meds at 12, I remember the change more than I remember, you know, the start of me taking it, right? But
right.
It was big.
You've made an interesting observation to me in the past where you said, you know what, ADHD is just a part of me, part of who I am, and taking my medication changes that. And so you have to, on a daily basis, make a choice as to which Simon you're going to be. The Simon with ADHD or the Simon without ADHD. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what that difference feels like.
It's hard because, and I'm still like exploring it a bit. I think that it's kind of like it's more of a psychological thing that like, it sucks how part of me thinks, you know what, like I have two different personalities I can be today. And although a lot of people say, oh, you're the same person, give it that, you're not, right? You're the same person inside. You're the same being. Your actions are your actions, but they're not all the same actions depending on if you take your meds or not. And it's a mental kind of block to get over that, to realize it's not all like, oh, you know, you're the same person even on your meds. You're not. And people around you notice that you're not the same person. And although, you know, they're still your actions and you're still yourself, they notice the change. Like family knows the change, friends knows the change. And it's hard to make that decision of, okay, now I see this as two different people. And sometimes when you take different types of meds, like for me, I'm 3 different people, right? So it's not that it's not 3 different personalities, but it's 3 different types of behavior and types of thinking. And I think the key is to not just push that to the side and be like, no, I'm the same person. Behaviors change, you know, the way you see it, your attitude towards things change, and accepting that and realizing that is important. And I'm still doing that.
So I often tell people diagnosed with ADHD, there's lots of different criteria and it looks different in every single person that has it. So for you, what is ADHD, what's the ADHD Simon look like? What is that for you?
Like when I'm not on my meds?
Yeah.
I find that, I mean, it's a myth, obviously, that ADHD comes with laziness, but whatever that laziness is masked of, there's a behavior of not wanting to initiate something, right? Starting something is so hard.
Okay.
And once I'm doing it, sure, I hyper-focus if I enjoy it, and sure, I, you know, work hard at it, but initiating it is the hardest thing, and the struggle comes with that, right? Initiating myself to get up in the morning, initiating myself to go to bed, get up, eat, do the school assignments through tomorrow because it's last minute because I have ADHD. Like it's just that, and I think that my ADHD self is also very I think I'm happy in my ADHD self, right? It's who I am truly. Like, it's how I was born.
And what makes you happy?
I'm happy.
What are the happy
I think
parts
a lot of things. I think just in general, I'm just excited about things more because I'm lacking the stimulation in my brain as other people can have, and that dopamine needs to get filled somehow. So me being overly excited about something and being interested in doing that, I strive to get that, which means I'm maybe extroverted in that way of trying to get that. I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, it's a fun day when I have ADHD, but it's also not very productive day sometimes when I have ADHD.
You say you're two different people if you take your medication, and there are days you choose to take your medication. So even though it's a fun day when you've got your ADHD,
Yeah.
you choose to take your medication sometimes.
Yeah.
What does it do for you? Like, what's the number one reason why you take it?
I wouldn't say two different people, two different personalities. I'm the same person, just two different, ways of thinking.
Yeah.
When I do take my meds, it's not necessarily that my interests get lower because, I'm driving that dopamine. My interests actually get higher. So the things that I push aside because it's hard to initiate or I have to put a little bit of effort to start that thing, I find I have way more willingness to start and I go for it. Say I'm making music, which is one of my passions. If I don't take my meds, I do enjoy it, and when I get into it, I'm hyper focused. But it's hyper focus means nothing if you don't start it, right? Yeah. And when I do take my meds, I find I can start it so easily, and I want to start it. Right. And those interests almost get heightened or just get different, right? My interest in music when I have ADHD is, creating something crazy and it's still creating something crazy when I do take my meds, but it's more I really just want to do it. When I do take my meds, though, I find socially and emotionally I'm different in a lot of ways. I do take my meds. I find I'm more, I don't think laid back is the right term, but more calm, of just like unbothered by things that I would get excited over or react to in my non-medicated self, which again, that plays into the two personality things. Who do I want to choose today? All right, and that's really hard, but I'm definitely way more willing to start things. And that's the biggest thing when I do take my meds.
Right. Do you lose anything taking your medication? Because there are days you don't take it. Are there pieces of that other way of thinking that you miss? Yes,
100%. And there's positives and negatives with each. Right. And that's what you have to, it's mathematics at the start of the day. What do I want to keep? What do I want to lose? And with ADHD, my emotions and actions are spontaneous and impulsive, which a lot of people see as a bad thing. And I think that in many cases it's a bad thing. You run out in front of a traffic light stop because you don't have that realization of danger. You're emotionally impulsive. That's not a very good thing. But it's a fun day when you have ADHD, right? I want to do this thing. I'm going to do it. And sometimes that leads to amazing results, and that leads to a lot of creativity if you are willing to start something, which is hard to do. But once you start it, I mean, you just think of it as a different way, which can result into great creative, like I mentioned, music. Well, it can result into great creative endeavors, and it takes away from that. When I do take my meds, I'm not as impulsive, which again could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. The bad thing with that, or the negative, is that I lose some of that creativity. I lose some of that, let's make an impulsive decision, which can lead to something amazing. Right. But
spontaneity leading to something amazing, an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, that's why I feel like most. And I don't think I'd use the word I'm less happy, but I'm less energetic, which again, there's good things to that, there's bad things to that, right? But it's just math at the start of the day, which I still have to figure out. But I don't like math.
No, it's true. That's all right. You don't need math.
No,
don't. So I always tell people, with ADHD, you're taking your medication. It helps correct brain chemistry, but pills don't build skills. No. We have to sort of learn strategies. I like to think that if I can get your brain calm and focused and motivated, then you can start to figure out how your brain works, and advocate for what you need. So are there specific strategies or things that you have figured out work best for you for doing those sort of boring, mundane, but I gotta do it tasks? Do you have some strategies that you've developed over time?
100%. I think me getting diagnosed at a later age has also helped me discover the strategies when I had ADHD, to discover how to cope with it without having being medicated. because medications don't solve the problem, and it's not a problem. It doesn't change anything. You can build skills while having ADHD to help. It's different for everybody. I find the best way I describe ADHD is, imagine there's a conversation happening outside of your circle. There's someone talking to someone a couple meters away, and you hear that in the back of your mind. You're like, half of you is trying to listen to what they're saying, and half of you is trying to do what you're doing. And that's just a constant. That's what I feel 24 hours a day if I don't take my meds that day. Right? Part of my brain is paying attention to nothing, but it's like it's a conversation when you have that little part of you that's trying to listen to what someone's saying while you're doing something. That's what I feel all the time. And realizing that is realizing, when I have my ADHD days where it's really hard for me to focus, kind of look at that in the ways of, and I recommend anybody do this, is that see what you're doing. What are your behaviors when you can't concentrate? And then once you see those behaviors, like for me, there's a conversation going on. So how do I stop that conversation or drown out that conversation? I put music on, right? And not everybody studies well with music, but I study well with noise. That way my mind is now focused on that music that's way easier to control and concentrate on than something that's not there. Again, starting something, initiating something, no matter how much you don't want to do it, as soon as you start that, it is way easier. It's about that first step. So if you have parents, then have them help you. It's not bad to get help. Have them help you with that first step and then try to take control from there. But that's the main ones. Yeah.
A lot of people with ADHD, we say, experience a lot of negativity. They get in trouble. Parents get mad at them, teachers get mad at them, kids don't want to play with them. Have you had a lot of negative experiences, do you think, because of your impulsivity, your lack of motivation?
100%. I think the biggest thing is with friends. Not as much now, because my friends all act like that, to be honest. But I think that when I was younger, especially in elementary, I was like way too hyper. And that would lead people to be like, what are you doing? And they distance themselves, and I can see why. I mean, it's a kid that's jumping around and saying whatever he wants, doing whatever he wants. It's just like, what are you doing? Calm down. And I really didn't like that. That's what ticked me off, is when people said, oh, you're trying to get attention, and oh, you need to calm down. I'm just like, I need to stimulate my brain. I'm doing everything I can to stimulate my brain. That's what's happening. You don't understand me, and then that just pushes everybody away, right? And so there's definitely struggles with that. I think hyperactivity was the biggest one. Not paying attention. I mean, you look at anybody with ADHD, odds are the teacher's going to write back saying, great kid, great creativity, great, brilliant mind, can't focus in class, or talks in class, or disrupts the class. And that's what I got as well. I hate it because it's teaching the wrong lesson of, the parents see that, they're like, we got to calm our kid down, we got to make him behave. And in reality, you just need to control it a bit so it's not impacting other people, but keep that sense of, it's life. Keep that sense of excitement and that sense of, you want to speak out and do that. That's an awesome skill to have in later life, and that's a skill that some people lose. Having that excitement and that hyperactivity is skills people lose. It's a skill, but learning to, it's just like any other skill. Learning to master it is the key, and it's not learning to shut it away or stop it. And parents are like, stop it, calm down. You need to stop jumping around, stop it. And it's a skill they're building. They just need to control it.
Did you ever think that you were a bad kid?
Yeah, 100%. There's, no. When I was younger, especially, I mean, I was drawing on the walls. I was...
Yes, we have a picture of that.
Drawing on the walls. I was getting in trouble. I was doing things that my brain just needed to get that dopamine, so I'm doing whatever I want. And I was like, not that at the time I was like, oh, my behaviors are not good, because at the time I was doing them. So I'm not like, yo, I gotta calm down while I'm writing on the wall. But now I look back at it, I'm just like, yeah, not that I was a bad kid, but my behaviors were problematic. Let's just go problematic. I was a problematic child. Still am, but we're working on that.
Did it ever bother you to look back and say, holy crap, I kind of did some bad things, that was problematic? Does that bother you?
Not really. Like, I don't have much regrets at all. For anybody that was around me at that time and is still around me, then congrats to them. Sure, I could have acted differently, but I'm here now, and I kept some of that excitement and pushed aside some of that angry emotions, sad emotions that I would get. I would get emotionally overwhelmed or overstimulated, that kind of thing. Yeah, I wasn't a bad kid. I was a problem that needed to be helped.
Right. And I think I've heard you say you live your life without apology and without regret.
Yeah, I don't have any apology or regret. Maybe a bit of apology. I think regret and apology are different. I think I apologize for what I did. I don't regret anything I've ever done, but I might apologize for a couple of things I've done.
Take a little responsibility.
Like the wall. Maybe I'll apologize for writing on the wall. It's probably my bad.
Right.
Don't regret it though.
No.
It just happened.
You for grade, I can't remember what grade it was, grade 8. I think you had to do a spark project, the thing that sparks your energy, and you did arguing. What is it about arguing?
God, I love arguing. Arguing is dopamine. It's just, for me, it's the purest form of dopamine. I could do anything and it doesn't give me as much dopamine as just pissing someone off with my words and then pissing me off with words and us going back and forth.
Do you want them to argue back? Or are you arguing to stop the argument? Or are you arguing to keep the argument going?
I've never, I think that I'm arguing to keep the argument going. And I have my, it's a debate, but it's all said in argument. Like there's no structure to it. I don't like the structure to it. I was in a philosophy class and we were doing a 5v5 against other people in the class where we had to choose the topic, and then one side is debating this side, one side's debating this side, and I couldn't care. I really just couldn't care less who won, as long as we just kept going.
It kept going.
Right, and it makes me mad when it's structured, because it's just like that loses the whole point of what makes it fun. I want to say it. I want to go in.
Yeah.
And when I have a time limit, I'm like, what? But no, I love arguing. My father has been the forefront of most of that. But I think
good arguers.
I think arguing is good, healthily. I think it helps build opinion, it helps build confidence, and it helps build that, you know what, you have an opinion, I don't care if it's wrong. Speak it out and you learn how to do it. It's an important skill. I think ADHD, if people actually look into it, it teaches you so many good skills that should not be shut away.
Absolutely. Determination.
Just
you're not going to back away. You're not going to stand down, just do what you're told. I think that's fantastic as an adult. Those are great skills.
And that's why it gives me so much dopamine. Right. It's just everything it's just arguing is impulsive, but it's a good type of impulsive. If you want to speak out, speak out. Right. If you think something's wrong, something's wrong.
So say you met this new kid just diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah.
Right. What would you tell that child's parents? What would you want them to kind of understand?
3 things. There's nothing wrong with him. And that, again, with the shutaway thing, don't shut it off. Nurture it in a healthy way. Okay. Right? It's just like if you didn't have ADHD, it's just like how you learn to make friends. You learn to conversate with people. It's the same thing. It's skill building to not control it, but to get better at using the skills that you were given. And I think ADHD, it's born with too much. Not too much skill, but too much of that attribute. Right. Too much of the attribute of being excited, too much of the attribute of being impulsive. Right. And it's really great attributes that are way too high.
Gotcha.
So learning to master that so that you can use it and not shut it away. Parents should not shut it away. There's nothing wrong with your kid. Don't shut it away. And I mean, there's problems at school, there's problems but don't give up. There's no point in giving up on the kid because it only gets better. He starts so high and it's not going to get higher. It's just, he's going to stay that high if you don't help bring that down.
What would you tell that kid?
I'd tell a kid. So I was that kid once. What would I tell me?
What do you wish someone had told you?
I wish someone had told me to, part of me wants to say chill, but that's not the point. And I feel like I've kept a lot of the good things that I had going there and just learned to, master that kind of thing. But I would tell me that the things I'm doing are normal. If everything's unnormal and everybody's different, then everything's normal. Right. So there's no, this kid's normal, this kid has ADHD. Right. No, that kid likes dogs and cats and this kid likes iguanas. It's the same thing. You are different people. Every single person's different. ADHD makes you different. That's a good thing. Why would that not be a good thing? So everybody has the same amount of differences as everybody. So feeling that you're ostracized from a whole group of people because you have something going on in your brain is ridiculous, because everybody else has something going on in their brain that makes them different, right? Whether that's ADHD, whether it's that they like cats and dogs, it makes them different, and every single person is as different from every single other person. So don't think that you're that much different. And the things that you are different in, embrace that.
Right.
It's a power, right? If you learn to master, it's a power.
Yeah.
If you let it run high, then you'll find yourself in trouble and you'll find yourself being hyperactive. So just learning that is important.
Do you identify as someone with ADHD or as an ADHDer? Person first, identity first. What do you?
I don't know what that means. Explain.
So either you're a person with ADHD, so you've been diagnosed with this thing called ADHD, this neurodevelopmental condition, or you are an ADHDer. It's just a part of who you are.
Oh, okay. No. I don't think there's anybody who's...
It's not separate from
It's not, and I'm sure people think ADHD was inflicted on me, not I am ADHD, right? But yeah, you are ADHD, and there's treatments and there's things that can cure, but in reality, like, you're just trying to cope with it and you're trying to deal with it.
And I don't think anything really cures ADHD.
No.
It can help, like you say, teach you to manage that up here so that you're a little bit in more control of it. But
yeah, it's the same way to help with it, is to learn how to use it, right? It's a tool and it's part of you. It is you. It is you. And that's why it's so hard for me to wake up in the morning and take my meds sometimes, is because that makes me a different me. Right? And it's still the same person, just different personality. And I think that's the big thing I'm trying to work with. But yeah, it's part of you. You are an ADHDer. It's not inflicted on you. It's part of you. And that's the big thing.
Totally trite question we ask. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
That's kind of a big question. I would see myself, I hope in 10 years that I have a clean room and a good schedule. And 10 years.
We hope to.
Like, I feel like with age, a lot of people see it as, you lose that childlike emotions. And I want to keep that childlike emotions. I really do. And even when I'm 60, I want to have the same childlike emotions. They're important. And I've built them up from having ADHD and having that as a personality. That, I have that excitement. I have that. And I want to keep that. If I'm 29, I better be jumping around and drawing on the walls for all I care. I better be doing that. That's where I want to be.
Any last comments, questions?
Having ADHD is pretty cool. It's pretty fun. And again, the key thing is learning to, what did you say?
I think I said moderate it or modulate it, but I think you had a better way of saying it.
I think learning to master it.
Master it. I like that.
If you learn to master your ADHD and master the power that you have been given and who you are, then it's a superpower. It is a tool. It is something you do not want to get rid of, because you might be sitting there with ADHD right now saying, God, get this thing away from me. But in reality, once you learn to master it, you do not want that thing to go away. That is the final point. That is the key. That's the lesson.
Awesome. Simon, I really appreciate you being the first guest on the inaugural Diversability podcast. Hopefully one of many. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll have lots more episodes talking to people who work with, love, and live with different conditions to gain some insight. Because life outside the box, there's way more space. I'd much rather live outside the box than in it.
Me too.
Yeah.